Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to Daemon X Machina. So a bit of a late game spoiler, I guess. This is a boss battle that's only available in multiplayer, so it's not even part of the game's story at all, really. And it's kind of like Monster Hunter. You fight this guy, and it's as a fan of Monster Hunter from way back in the day when it was on PSP, I really enjoyed these kinds of extra content boss battles, even if you can't fit them into the story of the game and build real missions around them, just making them available to players as some bonus stuff to do after you've beat the main game. It feels nice. And speaking of feels nice, the movement in this game, the targeting, and the general gameplay really feels a lot like Armored Core 4, and as you can see, the graphics are far improved over that aged title, and I'm very excited for Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. That'll be coming out in a few months. I pre-ordered the game, and then I was like, you know what, I think I need more mecha in my life, and I've had my eye on Daemon X Machina for a while. A few things really threw me off from buying it, even when it went down on sale to $20, and mostly it's the very cheesy story. The characters are just absolute cookie cutter anime tropes, and not in a good way. It's pretty cringe. And what was the other thing? I didn't get a feel for how solid the gameplay is, which is a shame. From looking at other people's videos, you don't really understand just how tight the mechanics of this game are, which is really where this game shines. As you can see, there is a lot going on in this battle, and there's a lot you can do. You can tune your systems to different modes. You can see those red hexagons in different formations around my vehicle. The ones around the shoulders are standard mode, and then when there's that barrier floating around you, that's defensive mode. And the standard mode doesn't really have any changes to your experience. That's just your AC operating normally. And then in defensive mode, when you have that barrier, you're not able to fire your weapons, so firing an attack cancels you out of the defensive mode, but you put up a barrier that can absorb some damage for you, so that's really useful when you're doing things like reviving teammates. There's also an assault mode where you give more power to your weapons, but I end up not using that very much because just having your defensive and mobility abilities balanced works better for me against a boss like this. But if you're not being targeted, and if things are going well, you have two wolves inside you, the Comic-Cons. No, that's the wrong one. Anyway, if things are going well, then you can switch out to a more aggressive, whatever it is, power distribution mode. There's an energy resource in this game called Femto, which is sort of the magic MacGuffin that makes all the cool anime robots work, and contributes highly to the technobabble of the series. And yes, this is a series now. Daemon X Machina 2 has been confirmed. So I'm excited for that because I really enjoyed this game. And this is when I've been going through, I think I'm just on the tail end of a pretty significant depression, and I'm just really sad about something in my life. I lost somebody, but you know, it happens. You just do everything you can to love people and show kindness, and you never know when things are gonna change. But it's okay. I'm okay. I'm just being very honest about the fact that I went through a downtime, and then I got really bad, what's it called? Stomach flu. And I'm still on just fluids right now, and I can feel them just passing through me. So thankfully, my general health has been really good. I've been focusing on my health, and it's really paid off. And I know we're not really talking much about the game, but just, you can see a demonstration of it right here. The little boosts that I'm doing here are giving me a lot of speed and mobility, even for this fairly heavy frame. And this frame is built for endurance, for durability. And my team's not doing very well here, as you can see. The only reason I'm still alive is that I keep getting revived by my teammates, and we're all kind of out of ammo and out of ideas. I was trying out a different build here, and it works really well, but it encounters an issue that is one of my main gripes with the game, and this carries over from the Armored Core series, so it's kind of a feature and not a bug, and that is that if things are not going well, you're going to start running out of ammunition for your weapons. And that's just as much an indicator that you brought the wrong loadout or you're using the wrong strategies as it is a feature of the game where you're just being starved for ammunition. And there are ways you can ameliorate that. And you can see we accidentally switched into aggressive mode there. You can see our little hexes are around our guns there on the arms. And we switched down into defensive mode in order to maneuver and hopefully not take too much damage from that enemy Zerutror's spear and attack. and yet I think I was still at a point where I didn't quite understand that you cannot fire your guns when you're in defensive mode, or it cancels the mode. I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't really paying attention through the tutorial elements of the game, and it does a fairly good job of tutorializing and also not being pedantic about it. So this is certainly a game where you benefit from tips, hints, and guides, and you may find yourself spending some time on the wiki. I haven't really gotten into that yet, but it seems like most of the answers that I've been looking for, the answer you seek is on the Reddit, my son. And so it's usually just like, what drops this or that, and a lot of the drops in this game seem to be randomized. There's a lot, you can tell that there was something of a content crunch with this game. There's things like bosses being added after the main story and just kind of showing up out of the nowhere, which is, it's a lot better than not having them in the game. But you can tell that there's just kind of some content that sort of got shoved into the post-game with little preamble, as it were. And it seems a little bit romantic. Everybody does things their own way. And here we go, chucking grenades at Zerutror because, well, we've run out of fighting robots, and that's something that is, I think, unique to this series. I'm not sure if in Armored Core 5 you could do some shenanigans outside of your little AC, but we're experiencing the British life here, life without AC, because we did get wrecked pretty hard there. And we took the opportunity to jump out and 1v1 the giant berserker robot. Because why not? Things are going poorly. Improvise, adapt, get wrecked, as they say, as it shoots a giant laser in our direction. And you know what? I think we're going to excuse me. I think we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on this one. So, one feature I don't really like about the game, but whatever, it's a design choice. is that there's an out of bounds, and if you make contact with it, you just die. There's a warning zone, but occasionally, and as it happened against this boss in the past, you'll just get smacked really hard and sent flying across the map into the out of bounds zone and be insta-killed. So I don't know what that means. I think just sometimes when you shoot a french fried, you're not going to have a good time. But it is back to the drawing board, as it were. So we're going to swap out some of our weapons and change our loadout to something a little bit more built for fighting big, huge, scary bosses. And a lot of times, unfortunately, what that means in Daemon X Machina is that you're going to load up at least one of your arms with a bazooka arm. And a lot of the mechanics of this game should be very, very familiar to Armored Core players, which is what makes it just kind of a perfect game for people to play while they wait for the new Armored Core game to come out. Other than, as I mentioned before, if you have a problem with very cheesy, just absolute cookie-cutter anime tropes, then you're not going to have a good time with the story and the characters of the game. But there's a start button for a reason, and I just kind of skipped all of that nonsense. It's very... I mean, it's so bad it's kind of good once you get into it. And I do enjoy the player character customization, where you actually have a little dude or dudette, as it were, to run around outside of the AC, and then you can actually do some useful things outside of your robot. So that's pretty cool. And it's also very dangerous and scary, so it gives you an appreciation for the safety and the security provided by a giant mech. And isn't that why we all love these war machines? They just give you a sense of comfort and peace and empowerment. They make a distinction between the plebeian and the what's the higher crust of society that's actually allowed to walk down the street and not get murdered randomly? Those guys. If you had a giant war back in ancient Rome, I feel like you'd have a little bit more of a chance of not getting stabbed in the kidneys while you're walking down the avenue, but I could be wrong. Italy is kind of a shithole after all. Anyway, it's not about the climate, it's about the culture. You just can't have these, as they say, blind spots in the culture. And every culture has them, right? America had slavery, where it's like, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal as long as their skin is lighter than the color of a lunch bag. We have these problems with our culture, but I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I can choose to dehumanize the people that look slightly different than me. That's not actually true. You have one life, and it is your only chance to show kindness to people. And just missing out on that is already missing out and falling short of kindness and moving your way into the territory of dehumanizing other human beings. That is just absolute monstrosity. You can't live a life where you decide that you're going to do things that are good for you and yours, and you're going to accept doing things that are bad for other people because fuck those other people. It doesn't work out. It's not going to work out for you, and it's not good, and it's not right. And that doesn't matter who you are or where you live. The ways that people find to justify badness toward others, it's really just a game. It's a shell game that they play, where you find some unrelated thing and then you decide that's the actual reason. It's not just because you want to rob someone of their dignity or of their rights or of equity, But it's because they're this or it's because they're that. It's a game you're playing with yourself. And every now and then, you have to realize that sometimes you gotta give up on somebody because they're never gonna change their behavior and start treating people as actual human beings and not NPCs in a game that they play. I lost somebody, but she's not dead. She's just dead to me. Anyway, my family's doing well. My kids and my wife and I, we're all doing well. And we're going to keep doing well. And it's going good. I'm getting over it. But it takes a while. And if you have somebody in your life that confounds you, you just kind of let other people be psychopaths on their own time, and really admit that it's just better for you to keep your distance. Anyway, all of that aside, I like to share little tidbits of wisdom, things that have worked out for me, because it's free, maybe it'll help other people have a better time with their lives. And is that not just the best thing you can do? And now we are absolutely bullying Zeruchor because we all changed to, especially the people that are with me in this match, we all changed to ACs that are a lot more efficient against these big bosses. And you'll notice that it makes a huge, huge difference in this game, and that's really the experience that I got from Armored Core back in the day when I played Armored Core 4, Armored Core 4 Answer. Very good games, and very much one of those situations where if you tune and you build your mech to the right specifications for the mission, things are going to go so much more smoothly. And it really cuts a nice balance between difficulty level and what even would be the word? I guess meta gameplay, where you've set yourself up to do well against the opponents that you're going to face. And I like that. You can not only do you go back to the drawing board for your tactics, but you also go back to the drawing board for the design of your giant robot, which is it really engages you in the whole I am playing a giant mecha game experience. And of course the downside is that if you're not loaded out properly for the mission, you're probably going to have a bad time. And that also carries over a lot into games like Monster Hunter that I mentioned before. In fact, the overall gameplay experience of this is a lot like Monster Hunter. I'd say it's more dynamic on account of the systems in the game. One of the deals with Monster Hunter is that, as the name implies, you're spending most of your time hunting these monstrous bosses, and it kind of feels like a hunt. You actually have to do a little bit of prep. And there's some in the field kinds of situational things you can do to build an advantage. Things that are not really as much a part of these fast-paced missions in Daemon X Machina. I almost called it Armored Core. This is basically a very cheesy anime sequel to Armored Core 4, which is nice because I think Armored Core 4 did a lot of things well, and I never really got into Armored Core 5, and I'm very interested to see what Armored Core 6 is going to be, because it looks like FromSoft has really been cranking out some great games. And I almost got into Elden Ring. I just never really got into the theme of Dark Souls. I'm very hesitant to get into these dark, gritty worlds. I think the real world is dark and gritty enough. I prefer my escapism, thank you. So, even games like the original Doom on PC, that game, it just bothered me. Too dark. It it gave me a little nightmares. You know, I was a young lad back in the days, so I didn't really enjoy playing that game. But this one, I think it's pretty neat, and I've been having a good time. I even paid basically full price for this game. So there you go. Daemon X Machina. Catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.